right. Welcome back to Light Body Evolution, Live Healing. So if you haven't joined us before, this is where we talk about healing, Light Body Evolution, my weekly course. And let me put in the comments. All right, here's the Zoom link. If anybody is brave enough to join me and play, you are welcome to do so, and it is definitely encouraged. So I see there's a couple people out there. Hello. Let's talk about healing. Let's talk about light body evolution. So, yeah, I was thinking today, what the hell am I going to talk about, But I don't usually seem to have a problem with that, so here we go. So, energy work. Light Body Evolution is a course to help you really streamline your energy practice by understanding how the field organizes itself and also how it disorganizes itself, because that is healing, isn't it? The awareness of disorganization to organization. And I think the key word there is awareness. So awareness is a straight line. Awareness is a scalar wave. Awareness is two opposing realities that give us the totality of our perception, of our feelings. So, Light Body Evolution is about really working with the binary code and working with the empowerment of others. And here's the key word really, the self-vulnerability, but also the self-responsibility that comes with showing up and really looking at your biggest problem. So in Light Body Evolution, we look at the 144 different patterns of validation. And let me be really clear about what I mean by that. I mean, seeking anything outside of yourself does not equal receiving anything. Although we were taught that tremendously, I believe, and we keep trying to get that reality to work, that what we give should equal what we receive. But again, the physics never worked for me. And Light Body Evolution kind of came out of working with people deep in the heart and questioning the heart and revealing the heart's purpose and exposing the dialogue's story. And, I hear people talking a lot about changing their story. But what about dissolving the story? What are we beyond the story itself? So the dialogue wants you to become the story. Notice how easily it gets us to invest in the outcome of things. Fascinating, isn't it? So if you want to leave me any comments here, or, let me find the meeting. Did anybody show up? Because, nope, not yet. No brave souls yet. And don't be afraid either, because, everybody does their own healing. Everybody does their own healing. And, I don't feel like I heal anybody. I'm here to be cunning, ruthless, sweet, and patience in the unfoldment of what you are not receiving. Notice that I said nothing about what you are not doing. So, the doing world, the being world, this is how the Toltecs look at our world. And the being world is a lot less tangible than the doing world, but it makes up 97% of our reality. So I often ask people, do you want to create from the 3% of reality, light and matter, or do you want to create from the 97%? So maybe the energy is kind of all over the place tonight. And maybe out there we're trying to figure out where we're settling. And here we go. Would you be willing to, let's see here, would be to work with you if the room is ready, maybe later? Yeah, the meeting is available. You can find it there. Let me know if you're having any problems. I will definitely play with you here. Yeah. So, what are we really talking about today? Ooh, ooh, ooh. We're talking about our presence, really, aren't we? Notice the dialogue moves us into the future or to avoid the past. It really doesn't have a lot of perception of the presence. And when you become present, then the dialogue has a hard time swaying you into those arenas. Looks like we're going to bring Susan on here. Let me see if I can get that to work. Let's see here. Let's see what this looks like. Oh, looky there. All right. All right. Let's see.
There we go. Did I press the wrong button? I'm not sure.
No, I think it's the right button.
Okay.
So what's going on today?
So, yeah, had a really interesting weekend where it's like I rewrote my personal experience of my personal history. Like I got everything I wanted from the person I wanted it from. It was amazing and intense, and that takes the story of my life and drops it out the bottom. And that was really exciting for about a day and a half. And now I find I'm outrageously sad, feel completely alienated, and that I just cut myself out of the world. And all those old feelings, I suppose they were old feelings that were never quite as clear or quite as on the surface before. It's like, whoa. I also have points on my back, my left shoulder, and just all along the left side. They started off really tight, and now they're unwinding. They get strangely painful a lot. And I think they go together.
So, are you telling me that rewriting your story didn't really work?
Oh no, it worked. But it takes out the story of the person and rewrites it with the story of this star child who really wanted to talk about interstellar matters in an interstellar way. And I got it, and I did it. And so what is the person? The person was just always trying to cover her up because she wasn't allowed to speak. And if she did, she got wasted, like punished. It was bad.
So what are we going to work on today?
That's a good question. I guess there's nothing really to work on except to just feel sad and wait till the sadness passes and then continue. So,
well, aren't we always going through the feelings? So your sadness represents an opportunity to embody something.
Okay.
Yes. It is a teacher, one of your 6 teachers. Have I introduced you to your teachers yet?
I think so, yeah. I've listened to that video 3 times, and then I forget it because I can't remember anything anymore.
So let's introduce everybody to their teachers. Our first teacher is rejection. Our second teacher is judgment. Third, control, fear, sorrow, pain. All of our teachers.
So I think they're all there in this feeling that I'm having. Because in what I kind of did, I was myself. I was myself as I was when I was 6 and 10, and then I got older, it got more covered up, and it was hard to remember. I've had a lot of opportunities in the last 2 or 3 weeks to talk to like-minded people and just say what that 6-year-old had to say, and it's brilliant. And that's who I am, and that's what I experienced and what I know, and all the rest of the overlay was trauma. I don't mean this, I'm lying, and I have to say it because nobody will understand me if I don't, and all of that.
So I think this represents a great opportunity to look at the awareness field between your inner child and your dialogue.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's do it. Let's see what the code has to say, and maybe really involve your inner child in this, because of course she's sitting in your heart now, And that's exactly where they have to return to before the golden child is born.
Okay, so she doesn't mature, she just turns gold. No, like, I don't know.
Well, your higher self and your inner child kind of bond together and create the golden child so that we can look at the universe in a broader perspective, especially the child's perspective. Our perspective, of course, is quite limited. So, two numbers, 1 through 12.
Before you actually say something intelligent, is so what I did was, doing all this, I just stand my ground and my commitment to growing into myself. And I was determined to do that, but it was like a discipline in a way. And now that I've done it and it's worked out really well, I want to just crawl back into a hole and just reverse all this maturity, right? Yeah.
Well, it kind of sounds like the old you and the gravity of you and the gravity of the child are a little different.
Yeah, but she's not the child. She's me. She's me, and she's the future me. But she never got to develop any mastery at all in the time that has passed here. No, not much. Some, not much. But she's me. She's not who I was. She's who I've always been, with a whole lot of confusion overlaid.
Notice the story always seeks to tell us who we are.
It seeks to tell us what?
Who we are.
Who we are.
But what we're here to receive is a lot more functional.
Right.
So let's look at and focus your intent. And when we work with the code, focusing your intent helps literally you get the results you're looking for. And really figure out how would you put that in words, because notice the energy today is all over the place.
No, God.
Yes. And a lot of mutable energy. Yes.
Yeah.
So really focus in your heart what that intent is, and you can share it with us or not, really up to you. There we go.
What this is fear of the unknown.
Of course.
I open creative process and I have no image in my mind as to how it can resolve. I have a sense of what my path is, and it's very supported that that's my path, but I cannot see that potentiating. I have no image at all or story that could say how this is going to take me where it is I think I want to go.
Notice,
yeah, it's the unknown. I'm terrified of the unknown. That's
yes. Notice that receiving is the answer to all of our questions, and figuring out what we're not receiving in the story of things is literally how we play this game. We call it gravity. We call it our feelings. But when the awareness of what you truly want to receive is available, the story ceases to be.
right.
No
one's available. I don't. Well, I do.
So,
but not
no more story. How about the code? Let's get to work.
I know. I want a story.
I know, and that is a problem here because your story is not you.
Galaxy or a reassurance or something.
Validation. We call that validation, I think.
Yeah.
Yes. So
it's hard to get validation if you want to cut the edge of creativity.
There's 144 patterns of seeking validation.
Oh, God.
Yes, 144. This is the combination of all the experiences. This is why we share those. So let's see which one that you want to really put into the limelight tonight. Two numbers, 1 through 12.
8 and 11.
Okie dokie. All right. Let's see here. Let me fix my sound. Somebody's saying I sound like the Wizard of Oz. Let me fix that shit. Okay, that's a little better, I believe. All right, 8 and 11. So, 8. Let's see how we can really bring it forward. So, seeking 8 outside of ourselves leads to shutting down from 11. And so, this is that perfectionism. This is that pleasing that leads to feeling powerless. And I want to read it backwards because it's going to give you the big picture. It is the embodiment of your shamanic presence. And to understand that embodiment, we have to literally seek perfection outside of the self, or seek pleasing or punishment. Make sense?
Yes, very lots of sense.
Cool. So now we have the validation, and this is your 8th center, and that center has everything to do with, did I do my best? Was my best good enough? Am I good enough? And notice we all share that question, right? Isn't that one of the biggest questions in the healing practice when we're facing the unknown? I love the question of the heart, am I worthy and deserving of love? And then what was that?
I said, ouch.
Ouch. And then when you say yes, I say, why? Why are you worthy and deserving of love? Your heart has the answer to that, of course. So let's continue. Let's look at the alpha charge. Let's look at the emotional wobble here when this old program of pleasing leads to feeling powerless. 2 numbers, 1 through 9 for the alpha charge. Where does the emotional wobble begin?
4 and 5.
4 and 5. So the fear of abandonment. And out there, if I'm echoing, just turn your volume down a little bit. It should be fine. I can't
hear.
I can't get it any better here. There we go. 4 and 5. So the fear of abandonment, the fear of detachment, the fear of the unknown, and that leads to then feeling disconnected. Sad. There's that sadness showing up. Right. 2 numbers,
Definitely.
1 through 9 for the omega charge. Where does the charge pattern end?
1 through 9. 7.
7 and 1 more.
2.
2. So the story of judgment and, forgiveness, understanding is showing up here. Just like love and connection is showing up in that charge of the fear of the unknown and the abandonment of sadness, all of those fun things. So now we're going to look for one letter that represents what you truly wanted to receive. Every time you sought this perfection outside of yourself and then felt powerless, or sought to please and felt powerless. One letter, A to Z.
1 letter. I can think of 2 letters. I have to pick one.
Which one is coming out of your heart?
R.
Yep. All right, so here's how we look at it. So all of these validation patterns hold us back from something. And I'm looking for what you cannot find. I'm looking for an R word. And so I want you to throw me any R word you got, any R word you can think of, and then we're going to kind of focus it in for what you really, really wanted.
The word that comes up is ruth, or ruthlessness. Ruthless.
Right. Ruthlessness.
What other R?
We got rejection coming up on the list here. Yes, absolutely. Definitely in this story.
I want rejection. Oh, I think I don't want rejection.
Well, you may not want it, but feeling rejected is part of the pain story, isn't it?
Yes.
How else do we feel appreciated? Yes.
Okay.
So the story stops us from one R word. When there is a story, this R word, no present.
No what?
So when the story is available, this R word is not available at all.
Real.
Okay.
Right isn't a good word. It's a word that's not good.
So I don't think, and I'm talking to the audience for a moment. Go ahead and keep thinking of those R words. I don't think Susan is watching the list
No.
here, and don't watch it for me because I'm going to tell them to go ahead and put a lot of R words. Because
Okay.
when we started this, I brought up this R word as literally what this process is all about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and that happens. I see that happen in my sessions. I'll use that word so many times before we really get to it. And then we get to it, and that word, of course, becomes unavailable. And this is the magnetic part of our brain because our memory is magnetic. And this isn't literally an exercise to make us feel like we don't know words. It's literally a frequency that the dialogue has pulled out and uses against us. And I think thinking of it as a frequency that when it's inserted, it literally organizes things fractally. And it's kind of like this missing piece. And we do have somebody that did find it. Okay, it's not the last one, but the one before it. And I talked about that tremendously. And when we do this R word, there is no story. It literally dissolves it.
I can't help it.
I know. It's very normal. Don't feel no way, okay? So let me help you find it here. This R word is when you put yourself first.
Put myself first.
And in nature, this must happen before we can share anything.
With an R.
With an R. Don't worry, this is normal because this is the thing that's hiding from you in this story. And what happens is the charge of the story, oh shit, protect myself, or why am I so damn depleted by this energy, takes the space for you to find this. And it's so normal, you guys. If you were on her end, you'd be having the same experience. When we do this in the class, you'll know other people's words so much easier than your own. And you'll sit there and go, I just can't find it. And that's because the dialogue makes it unavailable. And it uses us in that way that we're going to get what we really want if we do something, if we take this action, if we achieve this or arrive in this, then we're going to reward. Good. We're getting closer. We're getting closer. So
Reflection.
you do it every time you breathe in. What are we breathing in? We're breathing in oxygen, right?
Release.
What was that?
Release.
Doesn't feel right, does it?
Breathe in.
Very good. See, I've had many people ask me, if this was intellectual, because we get into this space and they're like, I know words. And I'm like, yes, you know words. But it literally is this story. And then when I started doing this, I would ask how many zeros across, how many charges we're working with, and people gave me astronomical numbers. And every like 12...
That's the one we're looking for, right?
What was that?
Respect, but I don't think that's the one.
Ooh, respect is in that give and take world. Yeah.
Could be self.
I like
I
that.
don't know. Respect was accepting something for what it actually is in any moment.
Go back to accepting something.
Rejection.
An R word for accepting.
For accepting.
So, yes. So let me see if we can do it this way. Does giving equal this R word? Notice we were taught that giving equals what?
Giving?
Yes. What were we taught as kids? That if we give, then we were going to what?
we would never receive.
Receive. Yes. Congratulations. We got it.
So that was tough.
Yes. Yes. That is why the dialogue is so interesting. And we got other words like reciprocate now. So notice the dialogue has the ability to literally move aside your ability to receive. And that's what I've really been talking about in the class a lot recently, is that it's really crazy even being able to focus on your ability to receive. And so what I've been encouraging people to do is stop thinking of meditating and think of it as receiving. And you're sitting there, you're breathing in, and you might as well start feeling things and receiving those energies that aren't tangible in the first place. So, are you ready to collapse it?
Yes.
All right, so go ahead and take your hands palm facing palm, kind of shoulder width apart, and bring your elbows in so they don't get tired. And in your right hand, we are going to put the fear of judgment and abandonment. And in your left hand, the understanding that love is the foundation of your joy and happiness. And aligning the collapsing field now with receiving. And now I'm getting really cool words like rejoicing. Yes.
My hands can probably do what my mind cannot do.
Well, you must stay with your hands. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
My hands can collapse the whole thing.
Yes.
Leave it. No, really. You guys made it big enough to start with.
So, where is the story now?
The story is I will always be shut out.
Notice that's the story. That you
So if you shut me out, there's nothing to receive. So whatever I approach will turn me away, and I can stand there, and nothing will ever be coming my way.
Interesting.
But it'll be blind.
So go ahead and put your hands back up for me. Go ahead and put your hands back up for me.
Oh.
And hold them there for a moment. And I want to ask you some things. Did you make any vows to never be hurt again?
To never what?
Be hurt.
Hurt. No.
Any vows?
No. That vow, no.
Did you make any vows to never experience something again?
I would say I am willing, but that doesn't mean some other part of me would not be willing.
So
I'm willing to face the part that's not willing, I guess.
Imagine sending any vow that you made to your source connection and ask that it be burned in the rainbow flames. Any vow we make to not experience something does not avoid the experience. It traps it in our field. It literally invites it into our field. This is when we tell the universe we're done learning. It doesn't take it so well. There we go. Excellent. Now I want you to imagine, bring them back a little bit. I want you to really come into your body. I want you to imagine really getting inside of here, because the spirit is not outside of us. It's inside of us. There you go. Stay with your hands and just stay with it. Don't force it. Don't let your mind override it. Just be nice and present with it. And here's the next question. Is there anybody else's energy in between your hands besides your own? Yes. I want you to send it back to those people, to their feet, for them to deal with when they're ready. Because you can't go to the bathroom for anybody, and you can't process their feelings. There we go. There's two things that stop the collapse in this work.
That bothers me. But I have a commitment to this person that is other than physical, that is higher.
And ask your heart if that commitment crosses your free
I
will.
let that person do it, but I still have a commitment that I don't know would ever potentiate. Is that it?
So here's the deal. You can't process anybody else's feelings.
That's true. Yeah.
Right? And so notice you can't go to the bathroom for them.
Then why do I have this contract with them?
Because you agreed to cross each other's free will.
To cross each other's free will?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Now, the contract isn't about their will. It's a contract is to something above both of us.
So nothing above you is interested in you crossing the free will. Notice there are many stories that wants to stop you from receiving in this program.
Yes, yeah, okay.
And even say me good stories, but notice the effect is the same.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. Yeah, those stories they're nasty. They got you by the heart. Yeah.
They can. Yes. Almost there. Stay with it. More into your body. There we go.
Yeah.
Excellent. Notice how you feel
That's
inside.
energy, man. Wow.
Yes.
It's not like I don't know what to do. It's the energy of that energy is just really big and blows up and yeah.
So notice when you receive, there is nothing to do.
Essentially, yeah.
When you receive, you can now share the energy, to share the responsibility. So, describe how you feel inside right now. Let's see if you collapsed it.
Like the tension is still there, but it's greatly reduced. It was like big. And now it's much reduced. It's still there.
And of course, your mind is always still there, but is it talking?
No, but there's this like little concept, like this little
Sure.
little concept
Notice
without words.
that making an awareness field from the experience is going to be there, because you still need to understand that when you're in the story, it blocks you from receiving. And when the story...
It's the past experience, so it's the past experience that's still in the body.
Notice, yes. So healing happens through awareness. And so we did one part of this. We looked at the program now. 2 numbers, 1 through 12, for what you're ready to receive and share, so that when this story arises again, you will know what to receive.
7 and 10.
So it says feeling connected leads to feeling grounded.
Mm-hmm.
So breathe in white and exhale deep purple at your feet. This is grounding your pineal gland and your dopamine production. Yes, dopamine, good. Yes, there we go. Excellent. And so now, as you're breathing that story, let that little idea come up of that his story. Notice how it meets it. Notice how being grounded in your ability to feel connected answers all of the questions of that fear of the unknown or the fear of abandonment. And to create the awareness field is to now be personally responsible when that thing comes up again, and look at it in the face and say, I'm going to receive instead. I'm going to know my connection is here instead of this story. Any questions, dialogue? That's how I usually ask it. I'm just going to go ahead and receive instead of create this story. What do you think about that dialogue? That's how I talk to mine.
Very nice, actually.
So,
Because the connection is more important than anything, than in any story, I guess. The connection
right.
is top value.
Yes, absolutely. And receiving, is the hardest thing to hold on to. I know that sounds so simple, but it's really not. And, you guys out there stalking your ability to receive is huge. It's really huge. It's something that I challenge you to, if you think you can hold it all day long, good luck. Okay? I can't hold it all day long. Okay? I have to remind myself on a constant basis that this is about receiving and sharing who we are instead of investing in anything. Like good capitalist.
Wow, that's really interesting. Yeah?
So
Yeah.
nature is receiving to share. And the
Yes.
dialogue is not. The dialogue is a good capitalist. It wants to invest and expect return and create charge.
Yeah.
Any questions?
No, I don't think so.
Good, because then I would be questioning if you were receiving or not.
Yeah. You got to be aware. Just be very aware.
Yes.
That's what
Awareness is this beautiful journey that you can't go backwards from. There is no going backwards from awareness. It literally, you can't literally backpedal.
No, I can't do that.
Right, nobody can. And because once awareness is gained, there is no going back into the pendulum. And that's where we have been.
But I have to fulfill. I don't get what I think is a person. I don't get a personal. I don't get a perk. I don't get an ego perk. But I always get what I needed to receive. I get, yeah.
Your code.
Yeah, but there's no ego perks, which my mom once told me. She said, like, you get the right path, it's really fun, but there's no ego perks. And then that's it.
Yeah, your code literally says receiving your fulfillment leads to grounding it in this reality.
Right.
7 and 10. So, and there's a lot in your heart code here because the heart's harmonics align through our hormonal system, and self-punishment and getting really upset about things, running away from things, feeling powerless, and protecting ourselves are the things that misalign the heart's harmonics and our immune system, basically. So when we face those things, we build immunity in a lot of ways, and the richness of the way that our heart sounds, which is the harmonics of the heart, get really full. And, I think we're all really familiar with those areas. We all have them. We all have those things. Those are kind of our biggest problems in life, yeah? Anything else, Susan? Thanks for joining us.
That was wonderful. I really appreciate it.
No problem. It was such a pleasure. Have a great evening. I said, have a great evening.
You too. Yeah, just go this way, I guess.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us for Light Body Evolution, and we'll thank Susan for being brave to come on, because that was a tough one. Receiving is not a doing action, and the only thing I can connect receiving to in our world is our breath. And we breathe in oxygen all the time, and it supports our whole reality, but we don't think of receiving in our emotional or vibrational reality as much. And since none of your feelings are tangible, receiving is a lot like music. And so deciding to receive with your breath, I guarantee you will find that you will have more energy available to share in a mutual way, Because when you give, of course, you deplete yourself, and that leads to feeling like we need to take. And that disrespect word kind of came up earlier too, respect and disrespect. That's the whole give and take reality. So giving leads to feeling like now I have to take because I didn't receive. But receiving equals what we share. This is the science of nature. This is the science of the world we live in. But I often say there's a big disconnect of how that really works. I think recently I told somebody that everything is vibrational, and they said, well, I don't know if I believe in that. And I said, well, it doesn't really care if you believe in it. It's the reality that we live in. Very provable. So, but notice our dialogue wants the separation of what we see in reality to be the reality. But that is not how it is. And the space in between things is full of energy. And ultimately, our ability to receive equals our fulfillment in life. It equals everything, because without receiving, there really is no sharing. And the universe is very straightforward in that. I think capitalism and the way that we were taught to live our lives should not be applied to our emotional reality. Okay, go to work and do it every day of the week if you have to, but your emotional life will not be fulfilled through that energy. If it was, then all of the healers out there, whoever they are, would have met people that have been fulfilled by the outer world, and I know that isn't a thing. I've just seen way too many people go through it and really question everything about themselves. So, putting ourselves first is one of the most hardest things that we will ever do. It's also the most rewarding. And if you guys are interested in taking your healing practice to the next level and getting straight to the point about things and getting really clear about how the physics of healing works, I'm not here to prove it to you. I've seen it work. So this is not something that I just created or something. This is something that I've been studying for a really long time. And it's developed into this. And so I'm here to share it with you guys in this way. And if you're interested in taking that farther, you can find us on the Quantum Resonance Institute.com, and it's called Light Body Evolution. We meet for 2 hours a week on Saturday mornings, 10 MST, Mountain Standard Time, till about noon. So we spend about 8 hours a month collapsing charge and getting straight to the point. And I'm interested in people coming through that want to figure out how to collapse their own charge and develop themselves, because self-development is this process. And creation and all of creation and how creation works also uses this same process. So awareness has a very specific geometry in the universe. And when we recognize the unorganized parts of our reality, then we can begin to organize them. But what we receive or are not receiving in the story stands in the way. So I really want to thank Susan for coming on today, because, this idea I'm going to change my story, instead of dissolve it. And notice, I think sometimes we want a better story because we think that's going to be better. But all the stories don't lead to being validated. And to be valued and to value yourself means that you have value to share. And, don't feel no way. You guys were never taught this. And I'm crazy. I had to spend years studying things and finding things that really showed me that our feelings are vibrational. And, we use music in this way already. We use it homeopathically. And, our feelings work just like music. And I kind of learned some things on the bandstand many, many years ago that took me 20 years to truly explain. And a lot of musicians go through that, I think, because there's things that happen that you can't explain. There's communication that happens that you can't explain. And most of the musicians that I work with, they're big feelers, and we can't not be. And so, when I discovered that sound waves displace matter, it is the science of what we're really talking about. And how we organize our reality has everything to do with what we receive. So I encourage you to put yourself first and look at what you truly care about, what you truly value, to begin to open your own awareness. In the awareness world, there is no faking it. You can't fake it at all. You can paint a pretty picture, take a pretty picture, but you can't fake awareness. And awareness is something that must be developed. And I think we're getting to this place where we're a lot more ready to develop it. And I guarantee you'll never regret putting yourself first. It will have repercussions in your own life and show people that now you have something to share. Because our idea that putting ourselves first means that we're selfish is one of the biggest problems. Because we were taught that we can never put ourselves first. And why? Why were we taught that? To be less than self? I don't really even find that even fits anymore. To be full of self is to receive the self. To be full of self is to receive you. And this world is impermanent, but you are immortal. But your story isn't. So even if it's a fancy story, even if it's my fancy story, I'm still going to say it's bullshit. And if you're ready to get beyond the BS and get real with yourself and how you feel, and use your feelings to attract what you really, really want in life, because if you do it that way, you already have it. And now it becomes this shared thing. And as a musician, I don't always like sitting in the studio and playing by myself, but I've had to, because sometimes people aren't open to share. So I'm really grateful when we have that shareability, because that's where I grow the most. That's where I figure out myself the most. That's where I develop myself the most. So thanks for showing up tonight, everybody that collaborated. All your comments were a collaboration in this shareable wave. And let's take a shareable breath, because all of your breath are shareable. So let's receive our value and share it to everybody here, to everybody in the world, because when we receive, we have enough to share. Anyway, I'm going to stop saying the same thing. And have a good evening, and thanks for entertaining me here and not trolling me and shit like that. I appreciate that. Thank you. And thank all the guests that have come on. And yeah, Light Buddy Evolution. Thank you guys. We're going to see you next Tuesday.